The Consulting Leaders Podcast, where we talk about the business of consulting. Whether you're looking to grow your practice or learn from the stories of leaders in consulting, you're in the right place. I'm your host, Guillaume Jouvencel, ex-PwC and co-founder of GHA Marketing. Join me as I interview the best consultants in their niche. Let's get on with the show. Kim, bienvenue on Consulting Leaders. Happy to have you.
Merci. Hello, nice to see you.
So we said that we could do this interview in French. So I had to drop that little, bienvenue is welcome, by the way, for those listening to us. But let's go back to English straight away. Kim, what first moved you towards executive coaching? And how did your early experiences lead to building frame of mind coaching? What's the story?
The story is that you could call me a serial entrepreneur. I've been doing this for many, 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 many years. But the last business I ran was a software company, and we were building simulation-based assessments. And the purpose of those assessments was to help companies make better hiring decisions. And we ran that company for 10 years. And after I sold it, I got hired very quickly, like within a few weeks, by a coaching company here in Toronto. And I lasted maybe eight months. I just couldn't do it. But what happened was I was in this company and I watched how they did what they did. And I said to myself, I think they're doing it wrong. I could do it better. And that's when I launched my own company, Frame of Mind Coaching.
So I like that. What is the problem that you're solving now? What are you helping to achieve?
My philosophy is that companies are really a reflection of the leaders who run the companies. So if the leaders are not healthy as individuals, as leaders, as visionaries, as strategists, if they're not healthy, then it shows in the company. And so my job is to really help leaders think in a way that allows them to easily achieve their goals. And I do that by looking at how they currently think and examining where their thinking actually contradicts the things that they want to achieve. And I help them readjust and point them in the right direction.
What does that help them achieve?
Anything they want. It helps them achieve clarity. It helps them achieve an understanding of what they want to achieve. Sometimes they think they want X, but they really want Y. It helps them be able to lead their teams with greater efficiency, effectiveness, and warmth even. It helps them have better relationships at home. It helps them become better parents. It helps them live with greater ease, peace, exhilaration, fulfillment, and joy. It helps them have a better life altogether. When they're happier, when they're healthier, their companies reflect that almost immediately.
What's the craziest thing that you've helped a leader achieve?
I can give you business achievements and then I can give you personal achievements. I'll give you one example. I met one individual and he was running a business. It was about a $2 million business. And he was very, very upset because his VP just quit because his VP didn't believe in the leader. He said, I don't think this is going to succeed. I don't think this is going to work. I'm out. And it was a very good friend of his. And he just felt defeated. He said, if my closest friend and my VP left, can I really actually do this? And we started working together. And within a few years, he ended up selling his company. And his component of the company, which was not 100%, he ended up selling it for $40 million. So it was really an inside job. He just didn't have confidence. He didn't have clarity. He wasn't sure how to build. He didn't know how to, select the right people, all of that stuff. So on one side of the equation, we're building up businesses. On the other side of the equation, I'll tell you another story. I was introduced to a client many, many years ago, maybe 9 years ago, from we get referrals. And so my client said, I want you to meet my friend. I want you to coach this man, but I want you to treat him with kid gloves. Do you know what that means? Very carefully, be delicate with him. And I'm not very delicate. I'm very direct. And I thought that was a very strange introduction. And I said, why do I need to treat him with kid gloves? He said, well, he's in his early 30s. He's a very good friend of mine, and he has stage 4 cancer. And so when I got on the phone with him, I asked him 2 questions. I said, question number 1, how long do you have left to live? Again, I'm very direct. And he said, I'm not sure. I'm on all these experimental drugs. I think I've already lived longer than I was meant to live, but I'm guessing I have about a 2-year window. And he said, and I said to him, what do you want to achieve as a result of coaching? And he said, I want you to help me increase my productivity. And I was a bit shocked, because if I had 2 years left to live, I don't know that I would care so much about my productivity. And I said, why is that important to you? He said, well, I'm an only child of a single mother, and I want to grow my business and I want to sell it so that I have enough money to leave her. And I said, okay, I understand that, but let me ask you a different question. What do you really, really want? And he said, I want to grow my company, and I want to sell it, and I want to, travel, and I want to take my mother on a great vacation, and I want to buy a house, and I want to get married, and I want to run a marathon. And I said, let's do that. But it's been 9 years. He's still living. And this man has sold half of his company. He took his mother on 2 great vacations. He bought a house. He got married. He had 2 children, and he ran a marathon, he ran a triathlon, and he climbed Mount Kilimanjaro. So, we're working on all sides of the equation. We're working personally and professionally.
I don't know how we're going to continue this interview after such an anecdote, but I love it. Thank you so much for giving that to us, Kim. That's insane. And huge kudos to the guy. He's doing a marathon here. He will get the reference. That is a pretty powerful transformation. And that's good for me.
He still has stage 4 cancer. He's still struggling. But, we gave him a few extra years. Yeah.
So besides a very determined stage 4 cancer man, who do you typically help? Kim, like who's your ICP?
Our typical client is what we call the highly driven individual, the person who typically is at the top end of the food chain, somebody who's running a company, or the C-suite. But it could be like an investigator who's a scientific running a scientific lab. It could be an artist. It doesn't really matter. The real premise is that this person feels one of 4 things. Okay, they typically struggle in 4 areas. 1, they're either feeling very isolated. They don't have anyone to talk to. They feel like it's very hard to trust people, and they feel like they have a lot of responsibility on their shoulders. And while there are many people around them, they can't really share that responsibility. Number 2, they either feel like they have what I call chronic dissatisfaction. They are people who achieve things, but then they say, okay, what's next? That was good, but I need something more. They never feel satisfied. And sometimes they feel like they aren't where they want to be. They haven't achieved the goals that they want to achieve, and they don't know why. Is it them? Is it the people around them? Is something wrong with them? So they feel always this itchiness to be further ahead. Number 3, it's people who have tension with others, could be personal or professional. And we see 2 kinds of tension or friction. It's either overt, like they get into battles with people. They may have lawsuits. They just have external battles. Or more commonly, it's what I call covert tension, where other people frustrate them, but they never speak up. They kind of hold it in. They lift up the carpet. They sweep it underneath the carpet. And eventually that mound grows and it becomes hard to ignore. But people frustrate them. Other people don't have the same sense of urgency. They don't have the same clarity. They don't have the same vision. They don't work as quickly, and other people just can't seem to satisfy them. And last but not least, these are people who experience what I call slippage. It's a term that I invented. And what that means is these people tend to let very important things slip through the cracks. their health, their nutrition, their sleep. They might be drinking. They might work really, really hard all day, come home, watch Netflix, but they're on their phones at the same time. They have a hard time connecting with their significant others because their mind is always spinning. And we feel like at some point they say, isn't there more to life than this? Like when do I get my time? So those are the people we coach.
I like it. One could even say, I relate to that.
Surprise, surprise.
How do you, so first of all, quick question. The person that you're coaching, is it always the same person as the one who is going to decide to hire you? Or because I suspect in those leaders that you help, sometimes they are part of a larger organization, and the person deciding to hire you because they see that their team, their leaders need help, they are going to go and seek and find help. Who is it then? Head of HR, L&D, the manager of this leader? Like,
yeah, you know what? Once in a while, HR does come to us, but it's typically the leader who says, wow, I need your coaching. And they go through coaching and then they say, oh, can you please coach the rest of my senior leadership team? Can you coach my wife, my son, my brother-in-law, my neighbor, my friend who lives in another city? That's what typically happens with us. So they go through coaching, they have an extraordinary experience. We coach in a very unique way. It's not typical coaching. And when they go through this coaching, the impact is so strong, so deep, so personal that they want everyone else to experience it too.
How do you, so I think that's the perfect segue. How do you market? How do you brand? The reason I'm asking this specifically for you is I suspect there's going to be beyond solution awareness, like, hey, we're here. There's going to be a problem awareness, maybe even an educational segment before, like, hey, I need help, running a marathon, traveling, and having kids and beating stage 4 cancer. So like, how do you market? How do you brand to make sure that you get the eyeballs at the same time of the right people, the ones that you're going to help, who are like, I need this, but also the decision maker who is like, my team needs this?
So I've been in business for 21 years, or this business for 21 years, and I've tried every single marketing strategy known to man. Everything, you name it, I've done it, I've tried it, and have spent, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of dollars on all of these plans put together. And what I discovered is that for us, there's one formula that works consistently, and it's very simple. I go and I speak, I provide a workshop style presentation that introduces them to what we do in a way that delivers a ton of value and brings awareness to them about what we call their blind spots. And we do it in a very interactive, fun, challenging manner. So they are sitting in their seats going, oh my God, I didn't realize that this is the way I think. And when they get exposed to us, inevitably, if it depends on how many people are in the room, but we walk away with somebody who says, I'm interested in this coaching. And the thing is that, again, as I mentioned before, even if I'm in a room and let's just say there's only 12 people and let's say only one person buys, that one person turns into 5, 6, 7, 8, so that's how we do it. Speaking engagements is our venue for marketing, and it's effective, it's powerful, and it's very direct because I'm in a room with an audience that is very, very targeted, and they have no choice. They have to be listening to me, right? So it's the most effective means of selling what we have to sell in particular, because it's not something you can market on a Facebook ad. It's not simple like that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to have to double down on this because you said, everything you said was good, but there is one thing specifically that I loved and that I think is so important, especially for B2B coaches and consultants in 2026 and beyond. It is because I had that, one of the members of my community in one of the masterminds was like, hey, but if I put content out there where I give the whole playbook and I show everything, like nobody's going to buy. And I was like, okay, we need to have a conversation about this. First of all, 90% of people will consume stuff and never take action. Like that's it. So you will put content out there. People will be like, that's great. I'm never going to hire this guy and do it myself. And they will never do it. That's number one. Then you're going to have people who actually do it. So that's maybe the 1 out of 12 who still doesn't buy, right, Kim? But then they didn't buy from you, but you reinforced their behavior and your authority in front of them because you actually were the one helping them solve the problem. So next time you have an ask, maybe not now, but in 6 months, or they have the next problem coming from the problem they just solved, they're going to think of you. Overall, when we put content out there, when we distribute value out there for free, we need to be comfortable with the fact that 90% of the people are never going to buy. And it's still key to put content out there, to go and speak, to meet your ICP where it is, where they are, because some of them might buy, and the worst case, you're just building authority. So I'm doubling down on this because you're like, 11 out of 12 are not going to buy, but one is like going to raise their hand. This is what content is for, and this is why the content and the value that you give also needs to be valuable.
So can I address something? I think there's a difference or a distinction between content and an experience.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't want to just deliver content. I want to deliver an experience. And so for me, when I present, I deliver an experience. And when I have a conversation with someone, it's also an experience. Excuse me, I'm just getting over the flu.
No worries.
And so that experience leaves a mark that they don't forget even years after. Mm-hmm. And so for me, my goal is to, like, I often, like, for example, I might do a presentation and 6 months later they come to me and say, I remember you. Mm-hmm. I'm ready for it now. Mm-hmm. And so I want to deliver an experience, not just content.
Yeah. I love this. And I think, so content is great. Experience is even better. And if you can interact with the person whilst they're having this experience with you, all for the better. Interactive and unfiltered / unedited is, in my opinion, what's going to win in 2026. How do you go from this, Kim, to an actual sales conversation, an actual SOW, an actual letter of engagement? So you give your speech, you speak in front of a room of 12 people, one person raises their hand, and then what? Can you walk us through your sales motion?
Yeah, so typically how it works is I do a presentation. At the end of the presentation, I hand out a form, which is a feedback form. And on the feedback form, I'm looking for comments, feedback, how did you like it? What did you learn? And would you like to schedule a one-on-one complimentary coaching call with me? Now, typically I get 80% of the people who say yes. Yes, I'd like to schedule a one-on-one complimentary coaching call. But then not everybody actually does the complimentary coaching call, right? So it's like a process. So, let's say there's 10 people in a room, just for easy numbers, 80% say yes. 50% of that 80% actually get on a call. One person buys, or maybe two people buy, right? So I have a conversation with them. I understand their pain. I understand what they're going through. I provide some value right there and then I say, would you like to talk about coaching? I give them a coaching offer right there on the phone, and they either say yes or not right now or later, or, no, this is like way too much for me, or whatever it is that they say. But when they say yes, that's it. It's done. I introduce them to their coach. They have a coaching call, and then we send them an invoice. There is no SOW. There's none of that. We don't do any of that. We just say yes and then move into action.
Simple and easy. Beats fancy every time.
That's right. Because an SOW and all that stuff, we don't have time for them to ponder. We just want them to go and start doing the work.
Yeah, 100%. So I think there is. So I like that you mentioned this. It's like I often say SOW because that's so. Back in my days at PwC as a consultant myself, when you go through longer sales cycle, this is typically what's expected from the leader that you're interacting with, from the procurement team, from the CFO who's going to have who's going to have to validate the budget and so on. But if you can go right away, you should 100% go. So
right.
Thanks for the precision here. I like that. Earlier you mentioned, Kim, that what you want is to sign 1 out of 12. And I know I'm going back to this example, but it's just it was for the sake of the example, but you
Yeah.
said something else there that was good, which was even if only one signs up, then I need that this one will transform into 5, and then into 10, and then into 15. Talk to me about how you do that. How do you make sure that one client brings you more, or continues working with you, or like, how do you farm out of the hunt?
So for me personally, I have been obsessed with delivering outstanding coaching experiences. Again, experience, right? Like obsessed. And there are certain criteria that creates an outstanding coaching experience, which is baked into how we coach. And I can share that with you if you would like. So we deliver the most incredible coaching experiences, ones that create transformations in people that we coach. So they're experiencing a transformation. They become very close and connected to their coach. So there's a relationship factor there. So they continue. But what happens is they're so moved by their experience that they want their whole organization to have it. And literally their family members, et cetera, et cetera. So it's very common for us to coach the leader, and the leader just says, I need you to coach all these other people. Right. So that's how it works. And very often we might coach someone for a period of time. They might take a break and then they'll come back, or they'll take a break and then send us other referrals. You need to meet Kim. That's just the way we work.
Do you have, so that's interesting. I'm digging a little bit further into here because I think it's super interesting. Do you have any mechanism to incentivize people to send you people, or to
No,
okay.
I don't agree with that.
Okay,
Because
interesting. Tell us why.
the minute you provide an incentive, like there's intrinsic and extrinsic motivators. And the minute you provide an extrinsic motivator, which is like a reward of some kind, the intrinsic stuff fades. And it's the intrinsic motivation that is sustained or sustainable. So I don't agree with that. I just don't agree with incentivized programs. What I agree with is providing extraordinary value. I agree with becoming very, very close, very personal. I agree with adding value beyond their wildest expectations. That's what I believe in.
So I love the philosophy. I'm gonna push back a tiny bit.
Go ahead.
Not so. Honestly, the messaging on the incentives, I get it. I think when you develop a business through referrals, it could be interesting to put such systems in place. But again, you should do business as you feel you want to build the business. And I like the philosophy and the fact that you're in line with your philosophy. When I said, do you have systems in place? I could also refer to, someone tells you, hey, Kim, this was the best, experience of my life. Love the coaching. That was fantastic. Thank you. Then it could be like, hey, cool. Do you know anybody else who could benefit from such coaching?
Yes.
And you're not saying like, I'm going to pay you, or you're going to get a discount on the next one, or whatsoever. It could just be like, hey, amazing. I'm glad you liked it. The best thing, if you like that, no obligation, but the best thing that could help me as well is, do you know anybody else who could benefit from this? And you would actually be doing them a favor as well.
Yes.
So that could also be a mechanism.
So I have a company with a team of coaches, and those coaches absolutely do that. They also, when
amazing.
Let's say I'm coaching you and you say, you know what, like I'm having a very hard time with my VP of sales, and here's what's happening. No. And I say, well, maybe I can help out. Would you like me to have a complimentary coaching call with your VP of sales? And so you're understanding that this could lead to a coaching situation. So, it comes up organically, and it comes up specifically, as you say. The other thing we do is we stay in close contact with our clients long beyond our coaching engagements with them. And the reason we do that is because we love them and we care about them and we want to know what's going on with them. But also that's a way to remind them we're here and we're around. And if there's anyone they know who could benefit from coaching, it's just like a memory jog, right? Oh yeah, Kim's around. This person would really benefit. Let me make an introduction. So, is it so like systematic? No, it's more organic. We want to stay in touch with, when we spend so much intimate time with our clients, we want to stay in touch with them. We want to know how they're doing. We not want to know that they're good and okay. And we want to kind of keep up to date with their storyline because we learn their stories. And so when that happens, it tends to remind them that we're here, and it tends to generate more business.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
What's your number one challenge, Kim? What's the nut that you're trying to crack that will, you think, help you take the whole business to the next level? What is that one challenge?
Right now, for me, there's two things that are going on. Number one, I'm having some health challenges that I'm confronting. And because I'm having health challenges, I'm in the process of finding someone to replace me as the front woman. And so I'm in the process of doing that. And that has been a challenge for a long time. I have found someone finally, and, we're training, we're getting him up to speed. We're helping him kind of find his sea legs and understand what we do, how we do it, the philosophy, the approach, all of that stuff. And sometimes that's a bit of a learning curve. So right now, that's what I'm experiencing.
I respect that. What's the next biggest opportunity for you, you think? So obviously, besides, putting someone in your place, so you have back your time, which is, I guess, the dream of any business owner at some point, although some people love what they do. But what's the next big opportunity for you that you see in your niche?
I really believe that the way we coach is very, very unique and very, very powerful. And I also, because I've been in the industry for a long time, I believe that a lot of the coaching that exists in the world is rather weak and not so effective. And I think that there's an opportunity for us to make a statement or to really, really make a difference in the coaching industry as a whole, perhaps with leaders, perhaps with coaches, perhaps with consultants, with facilitators, to really show them and teach them a new approach to coaching, and have them think about coaching in a radically different way than they currently use. So I think that there's an opening there for us to not only coach the people we coach, but to change the face of the industry altogether.
Kim Ades, ladies and gentlemen. Kim, if people want to find out more about you, see what you do, where should they go?
frameofmindcoaching.com. It's the best way to find us. Or you can Google me. I'm out there, Kim Ades.
We'll put all the links in the description. I can say one thing for sure, Kim, is that you've gotten at least one new connection on LinkedIn out of this interview. Me.
Amazing. I'm excited about that.
Thank you so much for coming on Consulting Leaders.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Consulting Leaders podcast. We hope you learned valuable lessons on how to grow your practice and take your business to the next level. Make sure to subscribe and leave us a review wherever you're listening to this show so you never miss an episode. To apply and be a guest on the show, click the link in the description. See you next time.